Okay.
Mm,
Are you kidding me? What's wrong now?
I think it's live.
God.
Yeah, it is.
Ah. So there's usually I forgot that we're live. Even if we're live. So there's usually like a delay when you live stream.
Okay, so I think it's live because I'm seeing the red dots live.
Yeah, I can also say it.
Cool. Okay,
Okay,
okay.
what else do I want to do? Okay. How do you start the live stream? Welcome to my live stream. Um, so we have 7 people watching. Oh, nice. Uh, how do you start? Hello, everybody. Lasisi is here again. Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you may be watching now. And welcome to my first live stream on the Junior Dev series. And if you missed it, I had a video, I think last week, where I mentioned that I'll be starting a Junior Dev series where I'll be interviewing developers and asking them how they got their first full time job. And I'm specific on the first full time job because I know, because in tech, I believe, I don't know how true it is for everybody, but once you are able to scale through that first full time job mark, it's like the rest of the journey is not very easy, but it gets easier than the first because now you have proof of experience and you can easily say, okay, yes, this is it, I know this and I know that. So yes, that's I'm very specific on the first full-time job as a junior developer, and it can be hard getting your first job. There are like so many frustrations, rejections, giving up, and there are people who may have given up. There are some who still tried until they landed that first role. And it's actually funny because for some people, maybe they get into tech today and in 6 months they get their first job. Maybe they were very good, or maybe they did something different. And there are some people whom it takes 2 years. It doesn't mean the ones that it took 2 years, are bad in any way, but it's like different opportunities meet people at different times. And as I also said in the first video, watching this does not mean you're going to get your first job because not everybody's stories can really work for you. My story on how I got my first job may not work for you. Maybe Fortune's story may work for you, or Fortune's story may not work for you, it could be somebody else. But the point of all of this is you can pick tips from my story. Maybe I did this, you can pick that particular thing, and you can pick one thing from Fortune story, from different people, and you can just use it to improve how you approach applying to jobs. So that's just a bit of the intro like I have in the first video. You can check my channel for that. So for those who are watching and for those who would watch later, welcome once again. And my name is Dillion, and I have here with me Fortune Ikechi um, from
Story
Storyblock.
block.
Yeah. So, Fortune, would you like to say anything before I just give some other points?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So this is basically me just talking about my first full time employment. And then we all like have things we were doing before we got the full time employment. So this is probably me just talking about my first full time employment. It wasn't the first time I was getting paid working, but it was the first time I'm actually working full time. So that's
Hmm.
gonna be the difference between that and many more.
Okay. Nice. Another thing I want to say is this is not official. It's not like an official conversation. So really
Yeah,
expect blunders, expect mistakes. The point of this is
and it's
just
life,
sorry.
and it's life.
Yeah, and it's live. So the point of this is we're having a chat, and we're having this chat publicly, and that can be overwhelming. But yeah, we are doing it for the whole purpose of sharing knowledge. So yeah, it's just going to be a chat. I'm going to talk about stuff. And for my first video, I outlined some questions here that I'll be asking Fortune. And I also got one question from the comment section in my previous video, and I'll be asking that. And if we have more time, I'm looking at maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour, so it's not very long. But if we have more time, then we can also check out more questions in the comment section. So right here, I am also tracking the comment section and I can see what's going on. So yeah, without further ado, I think we can go on with the questions. I don't think I'm forgetting any other thing again.
Yeah.
Uh, Okay, another thing I want to say is we are also test running live stream because initially I was considering having a video recorded and then I publish it to YouTube, but I felt like I should also try live streaming, and I'm using this platform. I don't even know if it's free or if there is a premium version because there's a free plan and it keeps telling me I have 7 days for trial. But I can look over that more, and hopefully next week or in the next section it can also be live stream. So yeah, all of that being said, just for clarity's sake, and I'm not like I'm hoping for mistakes, but if you see things differently, just know we are also trying to test run stuff. So yeah, all of that out of the way, we can now jump to why we are here. So like I said, Fortune will be sharing how he got his first full-time job as a junior developer, and he'll be sharing so many tips, as much as he can or as much as he's willing to share, so many tips that worked for him, and hopefully if you apply that in your own case, it can work for you. So I have 7 questions here and one question from the comment section in my previous video. So yeah, the first one is, Mr. Fortune, tell me or tell us a bit about yourself and the work that you currently do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Fortune Ikechi, and most friends just call me K, to be honest, KY. Currently, I'm a developer relations engineer at Storyblock, where I help to manage our community of developers, write a bit of documentation, and handle content, create content around Storyblock and how it works around so many systems and applications and frameworks. Yeah, most of the time in our team, I'm mostly in charge of the documentations. But then that's not all I do as a developer relations engineer. I also get to speak about Storyblock, talk about Storyblock, write content on Storyblock, talk and answer questions by developers on our Discord channel about Storyblock. So that's like what I do currently.
Okay, great. So how is the work? Do you enjoy it? Is it overwhelming, or do you find it something you wake up every day with a smile on your face?
Okay, yeah. So you know this thing happens when people on Twitter like post their pictures and like I'm so sad that it's weekend, and then they're
Eh,
like smiling. So for me, it's more of it's kind of like the opposite because I love working at Storyblock. To be honest, I love the work. Yeah, apart from the fact I get to experiment a lot of technologies and test run a lot of stuff, talk to a lot of people. The team itself is really amazing. You get to learn a lot. For someone like me who has a shit ton of questions to ask, it's like every
mm,
single day there's always someone to ask questions and they're always willing to share what they have. And then the synergy between the DevRel team and the product team is beautiful, honestly. It's like there's always someone for a particular thing you're working for, which makes your job a whole lot easier. For all your questions, for all your suggestions, all your contributions. There's always someone out there who is just willing to hear and help to implement them. So I love working out where I do Storyblock. So I actually love the work. Plus, yeah,
nice,
I get to do something I like very well, which is create content. Who wouldn't like
great.
that? Who wouldn't like
Yeah,
that?
creating
Right.
content.
Creating
Okay,
content.
so that's the first question, and you can check out Fortune's Twitter or any of its portfolios that he shares, so you can learn more about him. So the second question, which is where we start the main topic for the day, is what work were you doing before you got your first full-time job? I'm sorry, just to clarify, full-time job is like the job where you were on constant salary every month, like full-time, not part-time or contract or
Ah,
freelancing. Let's focus on full-time. So, what work were
okay.
you doing before you got your full-time job?
Yeah, so I was a technical writer and contract software engineer. So I create then I was like creating a lot of applications with the main stack for a number of clients and friends. and then writing a lot of articles for publications like Log Rockets,
Mm.
Machine, Open Replay, and the rest. So I was doing this of them at once before getting my first full time role. So
You were writing articles and you were also building what with main stack?
I was writing articles and I was building contract jobs with the main stack like Mongo, Express, React.
Oh,
Yeah, so I
oh,
was working as a software engineer on contract. Then on
oh,
the sideline, every weekend, I'll just write one or two articles.
wow. Nice.
Yeah.
And did you have a hard time balancing both? Were they like deadlines, or how was the
Mm,
combination?
Yeah. So the thing about working on contract is that you actually work on your own time frame. You get
Um,
so like, and some of the time I try to not be the only one building an entire project, so that I actually have time for other things. Maybe give the back end to a friend who also work as with me, or maybe do the front end myself. Always
um,
doing this allows me to have so much time to do other stuff I want to do. And for someone
okay.
like me, time is very important. And also creating content is something I enjoy doing. So I wouldn't want to trade my time for not writing articles or something like that.
Okay.
So I really didn't have a lot of issues with balancing time like that. Like
Uh,
the only issues I had was probably mixing those two things with school. Like then there was school, not like ASU strike. I was actually school. So mixing those two
okay.
things.
Uh, okay. Just to cut it here, sorry, if you'll be asking questions in the comment section, I would love if you could keep the questions down for now, because I'll be picking the questions at the end of the video and I don't want it to get lost. So you can just follow, give your cheers, nice answer. You can have all of those compliments there. But then at the end of the video, you can now ask questions if there is still time. So that was what you were doing before your first job. Now the third thing, which is one of my key questions here, is while you were applying for your first full-time job, because I want to assume you applied to different companies, what was that thing that you did differently? Yeah, because I know you have made many decisions. Maybe you got to a point where you felt like maybe I should create more open source projects, or maybe you got to a point where you're like, seems I'm going to reach out to these recruiters on LinkedIn. But what was that one thing, or if it's more than one, what were those key things that you did that you felt or you believe you may be wrong, but you believe those things actually made a difference?
Yeah. I think one thing I did actually made all the difference was talking to my friends. So I told all my friends that, hey guys, I'm actually looking for my first role. So in case you have any main stack roles or front end engineering roles, just hit me up. That actually made a difference because that's how I got my first job. Yeah. So and then another thing I did a lot was shooting hard code emails to recruiters. So I just get their mails from LinkedIn and I'll be like, hi, I'm so and so person. Look at the project I've done. I can do this. And I can see that you have so and so roles in your company. And I attach the link to the job. Anyway, this is my portfolio. This is what I can do. Here are like ways to contact me, my email, my Twitter, my LinkedIn. And I just shoot the mail. And that's what I did all the time. Like I even had the templates for sending hardcode emails.
Wow. So is it that before your friends did not know you were looking for jobs, or maybe like
Mm,
did you send them direct messages, or how was it?
Yeah, so my friends knew I was already like coding and working, but then I've always told them that I wasn't comfortable working full time because I
Oh,
figured I wasn't comfortable getting the whole end of the month you get paid thingy. You get, I
okay.
like the fact I get to work contracts, my time,
Yeah.
whenever I want to. You get, so but then when I finally was ready to take on a full time role, I had to send them like messages on WhatsApp. For my friends who are on Twitter, I had to like send everyone messages like, hi everyone, you know me now. Okay, so anyway, I'm actually ready to take a full time role. This is what I can do: software engineering role with the main stack,
Mm.
or front end focused role with React and React Native.
Ah.
This is my LinkedIn. This is my WhatsApp number. This is a link to my portfolio, and then a link to my resume that was on Google Docs, and then I just sent to everyone. That's what I did.
Mm. Nice. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask something, but it has left my head. Sorry. Main is Mongo, Express,
Main
Angular.
no, no main is Mongo, Express, React, and Node.
Okay,
So
man. I know
men,
it
yeah,
as
men, yeah,
men, but you're
men.
saying men. Okay, nice. So I think for people that are watching, reaching out to your friends, I think it's also something I advise people. Let the people around you know
No, yeah, yeah.
the work you do, and let them also know the kind of job you are looking for. I think, well, that worked for Fortune, and it may also work for you. But of course, just like Fortune added, was he had the experience. He told these people that this is what I do, this is what I know how to do, portfolio and all that stuff. So you shouldn't just hit somebody and then just feel like, hey, I'm looking for this and expect something. But of course, it's like I said, it worked for Fortune and it can work for you. So on to the fourth question. How was your experience getting your first job? And what I mean is this. So when you got into that first job, were you still working on the main stack, or were you working on something differently? Or when you got in, the communication with the company, how was it? Could you communicate better, or did you realize some places you lacked when it comes to working in a collaborative environment, a full-time environment, or just whatever your experience was in that first job, any part of it you can remember you want to share?
Yeah. So when I joined the company was built with Laravel on the back end, but React on the front end. And then one of the things I struggled with was understanding the legacy code. I don't know. So it's kind of a struggle because I had to join the company and then get started immediately to start like delivering new features. I think I joined on the Wednesday, and on the
Mm,
Friday they had a list of features to be implemented for the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, what?
okay.
I I don't even understand what the guy who was here before did. You get, but then there's another guy who was more of a he was doing two, like Laravel and then React Native. So I had him to ask all the questions I needed to ask. And then
Okay.
also the guy on the back end was a very close friend. So he lives like a couple of streets away from me. So whenever I had issue, I just call him on the phone. Can you come around? You
Uh,
get, yeah. But then one of the things nobody tells you when you get your first job is how much you need to always say what you're doing at what time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like so. I'm working on this feature, but nobody knows because I just noticed that there's a breakage, there's a memory leak somewhere. And I'm like, okay, I have to fix it, obviously. But then nobody knows I'm doing that. And they're like, hey, you're not delivering features. And I'm like, wait, I can't because well, I'm fixing this. But you
Mm,
didn't tell us, oh sure, that's true. You get so that's something that nobody tells, especially when you're used to working contract, where the only time you give feedback is when you're done with a particular sector of the application for the client.
mm,
Yeah, or
um,
whenever you're done entirely, like, okay, hey, I'm done. Here's a project. It doesn't work that way on a full-time like role, to be honest.
okay.
There's always a need for you to always tell your teammates, hey, I'm working on this. This is what's going on. Something doesn't add up, and here it is. You get, and nobody
Uh,
really told me that part. I had to figure
uh,
that part after like 2 weeks or so. Yeah, and that's something I guess that was more of a it's more of a shock when I joined. Yeah.
uh. So, when you came, is it that the code was badly written, or is it that you probably didn't have as much experience as was required to understand the code?
I did have experience working on the code, but then it was different. That's what I would say. So one thing about React is that it allows you to just code on whatever works for you. There's
Oh
always people who
yeah.
use the like then
Oh
there's people who have a dedicated CSS file. So for the project, we had the two.
yeah.
So we had Bootstrap, and then there was this CSS file for things that Bootstrap could not handle. We had to like hard code them. And I'm like, why are we doing this?
Okay, like so
So,
many
and then for
things.
someone like me, I wasn't comfortable with that. Now I have to build new features. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure now if this is on the CSS file
Mm,
or if the bootstrap I'm seeing here actually works. So I have to either remove this line of code and watch it.
mm,
Okay, what's going on? Nothing.
mm.
But then when you remove that line of code, there's a reason why it was there.
Yeah.
But then you don't even find out at that point, right? Maybe you've done like 3, 4 steps. You're like, oh, this is what it's used
It's
for.
like,
Oh.
yeah.
Now there's two problems to fix: what you're working on, and then the code you've deleted.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of like the thing with React and working on a project that you were not there in the beginning, and so many people actually like worked on it. There's
Mm,
just so many like architectural styles being done there. So at some point, I had to just tell my manager that we're not going to release any feature for the next 2 weeks. You have to rewrite all this. that's what I did, honestly. Like that's entirely what I did, and it worked at some point. So I guess that's that, sure.
I think I also I also relate to the communication part because when I also joined my first company, one place I really lacked was that communication where I'm working on stuff and nobody knows, and then it begins to bring this, is Dillian really doing anything? And I feel like I'm doing something, but then they don't know, that kind of thing. So I think communication is also something that uh, of course you learn it and you get better with experience, but it's just something to be conscious of, that now that I'm not working on my own terms anymore, I need to communicate better. Uh, so for the fifth question, so for that particular job that you had, I remember you said you also gave shared your portfolio with your friends, told them what you're doing. So I want to ask,
Yeah.
what part of your previous experiences did you think made that job possible for you? Was it the fact that you were a writer? Was it the fact that you had built stuff with Menstack? Or were you building open source project? What was that thing that you feel maybe the recruiters, after maybe your friends may have referred you or something, what was that thing you think the recruiter saw that made you seem like a good fit?
Okay. So the fact that I had experience working with the main stack was probably a big deal
Mm,
because at some point, so the recruiter was like, "Hey, we need someone to understand some part of the backend sometimes." You get, because at some point you would need to consume APIs are probably faulty or something. So they need someone to understand, or let's say there's a problem with the front end, but then it's a minor issue on the back end. You could just go there and just fix it up and
mm,
continue for stuff. So the fact that I had experience working with main stack as a Node and React was kind of a big deal for him because he didn't just want someone that was just good at React.
mm.
I guess that
Okay.
was that point also. Yeah.
I think for my first job, I can't really say if it was part of the experiences, but it's also nice when you are on a code base and when something goes wrong on the back end, you can easily say, hey, there's something wrong on the back end. And even if you are not the one to fix it, you can literally say, I know what is wrong. Like, okay, it feels this API is not connecting to AWS anymore, or
Yeah.
it feels this is broken, this API is returning this. You easily understand all those terms. So even if I cannot necessarily say it worked for me, but it's also a great tip when you're very good in front end, that's if you're a front end person, but then you
Yeah.
also understand things that goes on in the back end. And maybe you're a back end person, but you also understand things that goes in the front end. You can, it's one thing to say, one thing I have learned in my journey so far, I probably didn't know this for my first job, but if you um if you say something is wrong, it's
Yeah.
nice if you can also say this is a potential solution. It shows that you are very handy. You're not just I'm only a front end person. This thing is broken. Go fix it. I mean, of course, it may not be your responsibility in that company, but then the fact that you can also suggest things, it really shows. So having that kind of experience while looking for a job that I'm a this person, but I also have understanding of these other things. I feel like it's also very nice. So the sixth question is, so when you were applying for the job, okay, you said it's a referral. It's not like there was a job description or a job page. Was there?
Yeah. No, there wasn't.
Okay, so the next question I was going to ask was, did you meet all the requirements of the job? But
Yeah. There's one requirement that the one that I didn't actually meet. All right. So they wanted
okay.
someone who could also write some part of documentation as a coder or something. Then
Uh,
I wasn't comfortable with that. So so I feigned ignorance. I was like, I mean, I don't see how I could build features and also have time to write documentation and also have time to do other stuff I want to do, like my own
okay.
personal things, right? So on the day where we talked to the manager and every other person, I was like, I'm not sure I would like to do that. Like I just told them point blank that I wasn't sure that's a good deal for me. So I wasn't doing that part of the description. So
Okay.
even though I could do it, I never actually did it. That's something that I guess I probably did not do. That was in the description, yeah.
But the fact that you didn't do it, did you also meet it? Like, did you know
Yeah,
how to
I mean
write
I could write
documentation?
I could write documentation, but I never did it.
Ah, okay. So for you, it was like you met all the requirements, but you chose the
But
requirement you wanted.
yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because I was also going to ask, like, if you didn't meet all the requirements, like, what percentage of the requirements did you meet before you apply? And the reason why I thought of this question was just to give developers or junior developers more insights if they really have to meet everything before they apply,
Oh,
or if
okay.
there is like a percentage they can meet and then pitch themselves that I can also learn this and learn that.
Okay.
So
If I'm to talk on that, like my current job right now, I met only 85 to 90% of the requirements. I know I missed like two when I read the description, but then I still applied at the end of the day. So the truth is that if you can do half of what is in the requirements or the responsibilities listed on the job page, just apply. To be honest, like the person looking at your CV or your resume is probably someone. At first, is a HR person who just wants to see if you miss at least 50%. Then move it to someone else who's more technical.
mm,
And I always believe that it's easier to prove yourself when you've met someone who is a technical person and who
mm,
understands how this is. Because we also know that you wouldn't meet all of them. Like nobody expects you to meet all of them at the end of the day, to be honest. But then your enthusiasm, your knowledge skill is like the most basic things they need. You get like, are you willing to learn the things you don't know?
mm,
Something like that. How quickly can you pick up a new piece of
yeah.
technology and get started on it? So that's the thing. So, like I said, you must not really meet all of them, but then pitch yourself. It's easier to prove yourself when you met the person who is hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also showing just the way you said, showing that I don't know this, but I can learn it. And of
Yeah.
course, this is not just word of mouth. I mean, I believe if a recruiter should go through your portfolio and see that even as a front end person, you have done maybe some writing or maybe you have done some UI UX design, like you have showed skills in other fields. I believe it also kind of shows them that you can also try out other stuff. So even if you don't know this, then you can apply. And for me, I didn't used to do this at my for my first job, but as time went on, whenever I go through description, I usually point it out like you have this whole job description and I meet up with this, that, this, that. But you see, this particular three, I'll be sincere with you. I currently don't know them, but I am open to learning stuff. I make that very known. This wasn't what I did in my first job, so I'm not trying to say I was wise in my first job, but
Yeah.
along the line, I just started doing it. I think even for my current DevRel job, I told them that DevRel wasn't something that I have really explored. This is like my this is a field I am transitioning into, and I am ready
Yeah.
to learn and grow, and also with my previous skills. So yeah, I would also suggest that you don't need to meet all the requirements, but then you should be able to pitch yourself to just the way you said it. Pitch yourself that you are enthusiastic and you are ready to learn new stuff.
Yeah. True. Like
And
I also did the same thing. So
nice. So the seventh question now is how was your approach? Oh, well, I feel like you have already answered how you got your first job, but maybe if there is anything you can still share. How
yeah.
was
So,
your approach when?
okay.
Now, I'm not saying how is your current approach. Don't act like you were this wise before. So try as much as possible to remember how your approach was when you were applying to jobs. Were you reaching out to recruiters directly, or you already said you were shooting them cold emails? How do you structure your cover letters, or did you just ignore the cover letter and send your resume? How did you used to do it?
Yeah, so back then I wasn't writing cover letters because I wasn't even sure what to write then. But I knew that I had a number of projects that were noteworthy, so I just add them in my resume and
Mm,
then sent. You get. But if I'm to say on this question, right, like my recent role is kind of like my first developer relations job, right? So I can probably use that or as a proof of I don't know concept on this question. So when applying for jobs, I try to make my cover letters very humane. How do I say this? So
You
I feel like
are you're actually answering like you were this wise.
no, I
Focus
wasn't. So like
focus
I
on
said,
when
like
you were
yeah,
not as wise as
back then I
this.
wasn't writing cover letters.
Okay,
So
but
back then I
you
wasn't
already
writing cover letters.
okay,
Yeah, I
but
wasn't
you were
writing cover letters.
shooting recruiters cold emails.
Yeah, like code emails like, hey, I'm so and so person.
Okay.
I currently do this with a number of clients. I can do this for you. I know you have something like this on your careers page, and there is
Mm,
a link to the careers page and the role itself. Anyway, I'm sure I can do that because I feel like I fill up about 3/5
mm,
of the like responsibilities on the role, right?
okay.
If in case you want to reach me or check me out, here's my LinkedIn, here's my Twitter, and here is my email, and I'll
Oh,
just send it. Yeah, I
nice.
like I sent like over 50 of those things. I don't know.
Did you get responses back?
Yeah, yeah. About half of them actually replied. It's always a hey, hi Fortune. I mean, we could want to do this, but maybe your location or how much would
Um,
you like to get paid? And I just stayed to one major thing like that, and they're like, oh, nah, that's probably too much, or they're looking for some more experience. But the main thing is that actually works. To be honest, like it's seen as a thing, a bad thing sometimes, but it actually works. At least for me, like 25 out of 50 is a good number
mm.
to continue doing that. So I think at some point it's something that I feel like everybody should just like try. Like just try it. Like what could go wrong? What do you stand to lose? Like
But I recommend trying it when you actually have something to show because you don't want
okay.
to waste people's time. You want to just come and be like,
Yeah,
hey, you have
yeah.
a back end role. I like back end, and you just at least it would be nice because this work industry is, it's our time. It's also the
Mm,
recruiter's time. So you wouldn't want to waste somebody's time. So you need to have something you can actually show for, like, you have this on your job page. I can do this, and here is proof that I can actually do it. Maybe
yeah,
show a
yeah. True.
project or something. Okay,
Yeah,
so
true.
you want to say something?
No, no.
So
Go
this
on.
is all the questions that I originally had, but when I
Okay.
made the intro, sorry, I'm just going to edit this quickly. When I made the, come on, I made the intro video. I got this question in the comment. So it said, "How did you first? I think the first question should be, did you ever experience burnout after receiving a couple of rejections at the early stage?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
So how did you handle those burnouts?"
Uh, I was like 19 when I started applying for jobs, so I basically just cry like your heart out, guy, like, and then just wake up, cry, sleep, wake up, and apply for more jobs.
You didn't take like maybe a week break or 2 weeks or maybe a month break?
Okay, so for me, back then I was very enthusiastic. I
Mm,
felt I had all I needed I had all I needed to get the jobs one, and then I also felt that I had to just convince just one person to actually
mm,
hire me. Like that was what I needed. You get, and like I said, very enthusiastic, and I was young and uprising in tech, so the whole bad experiences and everything have really gotten to me then. Like I was
um,
like, they just reject. So it's normal. Like, and I hear from a lot of people on Twitter that it's just normal. Rejections will come. I'm like, oh, but I've not gotten so much rejection. So okay,
okay.
what could go wrong? Yeah. I mean, if you asked me this like 2 years or 1 year ago, I would have said no, 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 no.
Wait,
But
wait,
back then, I was really enthusiastic. Like there wasn't
okay,
really a lot of burnouts per se, but I know that at some point I felt like I wasn't doing enough, so I just like cry, wake up, apply for more roles.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. So I don't cry tire. This was great. This was really nice. So these are all the questions I have, and thank you. I mean, we'll still go to the questions here, but thank you so much for all of this. And just as I
Yeah.
shared in the beginning, you have shared so many tips. I know a few people now already. Somebody's already asking for your template so that they can also shoot code emails. So I feel like that's one tip people can also, and then you share them a link to this video. Well, please don't overdo it. But yeah, that's one tip.
Yeah.
Shooting emails directly, reaching out to recruiters, and also letting your friends know, letting the people around you know what you do and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
also shared how you had experience with, as a front end person, you had experience with back end, and it was
Yeah.
like a big
Yeah.
deal to the company. And okay, the work you were doing before, you were writing, building stuff, and also managing that with school. And how was your experience with your first job? So you talked about communication and also understanding the code base. And for the requirements, you met all the requirements, but as a boss that you are, you chose the requirement that you wanted. Like, yo, fam, this is the one I want to do. You get me right? But it's nice. It's nice that you can really put yourself out there at the beginning because, as a junior developer, after all the hustle, you get your first job. The confidence to even say this is what I want to do. I feel like
Yeah,
it's rare.
yeah, yeah.
It's
True,
nice that you could
true.
actually show that this is what I would love to do, and it's nice. And approach, you talk about cold emails, and you didn't for burnout, you cry and you move on. The hustle continues. So thank you so much for this, Fortune, and I'll be going through the comment section now. So we used like 30 minutes for that. Okay, that's a nice time estimation. So to the comment, um so somebody says go team Porodo gaming chair. So you have a nice gaming chair.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Nice
like
one.
it.
Um, 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 so somebody said the stream is going smooth. Well, that's nice to hear. This is a test run, and it's nice to hear this feedback. Um, somebody
I
said
like
it's a
it.
bit
I like it.
blurry. Sorry.
I like it actually. Like it's really smooth. I like it.
Oh, great. Somebody said it's a bit blurry and it was a resolution. Fortune making his stance known. Yeah, Fortune is the boss. So I think somebody here is requesting for the template. So if you still have a template of that cold email, maybe
Yeah,
it's
sure.
worth sharing. You
Oh,
can
okay. Yeah,
how do you even share this thing here? So you can
exactly.
just send them to me and I'll
Yeah.
leave them in the description of the video.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. I'll send it to you sometime soon.
So so they said how was the interview process for the junior role? So for that role, how was the interview process?
Okay, so I first of all met the guy who was a backend engineer, right? And he asked me, it was very straightforward. Like I said, he's actually my friend or something. So he's like, you know React AB? I'm like, yes, I do. Can you maybe do React and some backend some days? I was like, yeah, sure, no Allah. And I asked him, wait, what's the backend written on? And I said Laravel. Oh god. I'm like, I mean, when I started coding, I tried Laravel for 6 months or thereabouts. So I was very sure that I was not going to meet something that was a shocker. But then I know I was very rusty anyway.
No.
So like, okay, cool. And I think, okay, I did Laravel some time ago. I'm sure I'll be rusty. But you did here now. He's like, yeah, I can help you some days. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, cool. So and I met the manager and the CEO. He's like, yeah, this guy told me about you. I heard you do this. I'm like, yeah, I do. Okay, show me some things you've done. I sense. How much do you like to get? And I told me, oh, I should not even bother about it. How much? This is what they have, and this is how much it is. I'm like, really? So when you said that, I'm like, okay. So it's not like, yeah, does that work for me? I was very desperate. So I'm like, yeah, that does. And I said, hey, you'll be writing documentation on some days. I told him, no, I can't do that one.
Mm, mm,
So you get out to just tell him like point blank, I can't do that. But rest assured that I'll do your front end engineering work very well.
mm,
But the back end, I'll also try on some days, like I said. But documentation, no, I'm not feeling do that one. Then I said, okay, cool, cool. So he said, okay, send me all the things you've done, like your portfolio and resume and your LinkedIn. So I sent, took 48 hours. Then he got back to me that I showed he would like to meet me. He would like me to meet the CTO. I
mm,
did. I got asked a lot of technical questions and all that. And let's 48 hours, and it's like, I'll send an offer to you. That
mm.
took over 24 hours. He sent, I signed, I started the next day. That was already on a Wednesday. Friday, I'm like, it's like, yeah, sure, you have to deliver this feature that we've been working on for some time now. So what? What is that? You get so it's like, so that's like how the whole thing went.
No, okay. So you didn't have an like a very formal process. It was more of just from the referral. It was just a bit direct.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I think that answers your question. You said somebody asked how old are you now? If you want to share, if you don't want
Really,
to.
really, really. I turned 23 in March, so I guess that's something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, somebody said. Somebody said, "Why are you asking age?" So somebody said, if I'm understanding correctly, so as a front end developer who knows only React, it seems the only way to get the job is to know the entire stack and build full stack applications, right?
Mm, okay, I'm going to be very opinionated here, to be honest. But anyway, this is, if I'm not correct, this is like me, right? So for me, I would recommend that you learn the React very well, Sha. Like, there's a lot about the React ecosystem that a lot of people just like leave. There's always accessibility. There's not just building component and rendering React apps. Like, there's accessibility, understanding how React works under the hood, ES6, JavaScript. One more thing is understanding how CSS and its frameworks work. Maybe choose a framework and just master it like very well.
Mm,
Choose Tailwind and the likes and master it really, really well. Then understand how APIs are made. Like understand APIs, like making calls, working with APIs, all manner of APIs. You're gonna need that because I don't think you need to build full stack apps, but I did because I wanted to not just get a job fast. I wanted to make sure that I get a lot of experience working with that because I figured
yeah.
out I had more experience working with Node and React in a project than just working with React. You
Um,
get, so when someone talks about this API is doing this, that I'm not doing, I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I mean, if I had problems with your API or your API is like dropping
mm,
bad shit, then I can probably fix that up too with my own skills. You get, so
yeah.
that's kind of like why I do the things I do. So I wouldn't recommend you doing that is your thing. But then if you're gonna learn, be a front end engineer, then be a really good front end engineer.
Yeah.
But you're gonna be a mid, then you probably need to just back it up with more skills, like understanding how the backend works. It's not
Yeah.
like you need to be a backend engineer, but just understand how it works and how APIs are done. Really,
Yeah. I think you've actually said it all. It's not like you must know the whole full stack applications thing, but I
yeah.
feel I'm not saying this for everybody. I feel it's just always nice to show recruiters that this is my main field. I'm very good in this field, but I also have I can also make contributions, suggestions. I can also help with this other field if there's ever the need to.
Yeah, yeah.
So another question is tell Cold Dog that Obioma, his technical writing student, is hailing him. Oh yeah, somebody asked, can we ask questions now? So we'll be rounding up. I don't want this to exceed an hour, but yeah, you can ask questions. So somebody said, should I say somebody? I'm scared not to spell somebody's name, but John Jesuloba said, or he asked, Fortune, what kind of projects did you have on your portfolio?
Okay. I had three main projects. I had this kind of like an e-commerce project that worked. I mean, on Timogo to be actually like fun. It was asking me to put my card details, but then it worked like seamlessly, right? I was fetching a lot of like good stuff like product on the back end with Mongo, and then rendering in the React app. You had to sign up the whole thing.
Mm,
And then I had this other project, a React robot app like that from one course I did. But
oh,
then I added two more features in the sense that you could customize your own robots.
um,
Then
oh,
aside to customize your own robots, you also pay like to get more robots. Like where you
mm,
have like multiple robots and you choose a robot avatar and all that. Just kind of fun. I know fun because I like the whole robot thing. Then the last project I had was I don't know, I don't know weather app, but where you could now like make your own design and choose what formats you wanted your like weather display to be like. You know how you have
oh,
on your maps, you could choose satellite, you could choose suburb and all
oh,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Used to have yeah, I had something like that too. I guess that's like the three most important projects. Then the rest are like client projects. I had a school app, I had a CRM app like that I built with a client. I just added it as a project. Nobody really
Uh,
asked me what client was that.
were
I just
you
added it.
were you allowed to put it on your resume?
Yes, yes. After talking to because the client was someone like I began to have a cool relationship with, so it was
Um,
way easier to just be like, this project I need to add it to my portfolio so I can. And I said, yeah, yeah, sure, sure, do it.
okay.
Because I did it for less money, so he was like, he was really cool. He was really cool.
Yeah, I
You
feel like
get so,
that's really important because they're like rules and you sign stuff before you do those kind of things.
yes,
So
yes, yes. Sometimes
yeah,
NDAs can be a mess. Yeah.
yeah. But you actually built nice projects though. The robot one is like, wow. I mean, I was a
It was
recruiter and
fun.
I see
It
that
was
and I'm like,
fun, I
ah, come
guess.
on. Um, they said no data structure algorithm questions or React based questions. So maybe in the interview, when the maybe your friend or the manager was asking you questions, did they ask you any specific technical questions?
Yeah, yeah. So I was asked something on React class components and React functional components. It was very funny. Like, I mean, the project, the project had class and functions in it.
Okay.
So you had to understand if I could work with the two of them without breaking any. But then when I joined, I had to rewrite the entire thing to functional components. Like,
Okay.
just make it easier on all of us, please. Okay, like please.
So okay, the next question said, "What are some of the technical questions you were asked?" And I think you just answered that, or is there more?
Yeah. Nah, mostly on React functional and class component. Like,
Somebody is asking that you should please share your portfolio. Uh,
ah,
I don't know if it means your resume or if you have a website or I don't know, whatever you call a portfolio.
sure, sure. Yeah, I think I'll send that with my template if that works later after this.
Okay. Somebody said the robot project. What tutorial is that? So, do you still have access to this project, or do you know the course
Yeah,
you're?
I mean I don't even know where it is, but yeah. So the pro tutorial was by this guy React. No, I think Learn Web Development in 2021. Zero to Mastery. Yes, by I don't even know. I'll actually find it and write it later. But I know the name was Learn Web Development Zero to Mastery (ZTM). I think I got
Okay.
it in 2019. Yeah,
Okay. I think
it
after
was
the
a
call.
Udemy course. It's a Udemy course. I don't know.
Okay. I think after the call, you can share. You can share that. So, currently, I don't see any questions, and I'll just give it a minute or two to see if there are more questions. But if there is not, then I think this was a nice start
Of the series.
of yeah, it's a very nice start. I mean, I had good hopes of how it would be, but it's really nice to see that it had this shape. And even when I drafted these questions, I felt like hope I would be able to pick out tips. But it's nice that even after the talk, I was able to pick out tips. Somebody said 2021 is here Udemy course. I'll like after this call, I'm probably going to have it in the video description, or I'm going to write a summary on my website. And on that website, then I would have all these links that he would share with me afterwards. Somebody said you mentioned how important relationships were in getting your first role. These
Mm,
days, top devs only want to relate with devs that are already there. How
mm,
true is this? But anyways, the person's question is, how do you advise that we build relationships?
ah, okay. So, on that regard, right? I hear this a lot these days, and I don't even know how to answer that question. To be honest, it's always like how to answer that. So the truth is that I understand you. Like when you say top devs want to do this and all that, I'm not gonna say anything for any other person, right? However, I've noticed that for me, what works is to be in a community. Like the
Mm-hmm.
guy that I met who actually helped me with the role, like referred me, was a member of my school's GDS, like Google Developer Students Clubs. You get, and most of the jobs I've gotten from a lot of people too are from people that I've met in the community too. Just like I always tell people like that on our group, like always talk about what you do.
Mm,
You build a project in React, it's fun, it's not fun. Post it on the group and be like, hey guys, I did this, I did that. Just so you know, I do this. There's
mm,
always someone who's actually willing to take a chance on you. You may not look like that then, but then when the opportunity comes, there's always someone like, I know this guy that do this.
mm,
And that's kind of like your time to now like prove yourself. You get. So it's not like there's this guy who's sitting down and waiting for you. Plus, on the whole, devs want to relate with devs who are already there. I'm more, I would say that it falls under what you ask, and like I always say, people do not actually have a lot of time on their hands. It's not an excuse, but it's the truth. You get, it's 8:48 right now. I mean, it's 9:48 for you, and I still have other things to do and someone to talk to and a personal life too. I
mm,
wouldn't always be there. So by then structuring your relationship with that person on first start, hey, I'm this person, I do this, I just wanted to connect with you here on Twitter. Shem sent. We all see our messages. That's the funny thing. Like it's nobody ever doesn't see their messages. We do. Like we just decide, okay, I don't want to answer this, or we tend to forget to answer. But then they do. So one day an opportunity comes up. It's not like, yeah, there's this guy that DM me one time on Twitter. Let me go and check him out. That's a way, you understand. So there's not really a structured way to build relationships. But I think this should work.
Nice. Well, in addition to all you have said, I would also say that don't force relationships. Don't like I'm looking for a job. This guy doesn't want to answer me. Just as you mentioned, people have different things in their hands, and you also said that we also see these messages. To be honest, some of us don't see these messages because sometimes I go to my message request on Twitter and I'm like, really, where did all these messages come from? So not everybody sees these messages. In fact, some people don't even check their Twitter messages because of how rough or because of how scattered it can be. But what I would recommend, the first thing I already said is don't force relationships. Yes, we are all looking for job. We want to get that experience. We want to get that money and all those things. But don't force relationships. But one thing I would very much recommend is just keep letting people know what you do. Even if you don't belong into any WhatsApp communities or Telegram or some Discord or Slack, on Twitter, you have your Twitter. If it's Instagram, you can use Instagram. If it's Facebook, you can use Facebook. But keep letting people know what you do, what you build, the kind of person that you are. You do back end stuff, you do front end stuff. Just keep putting it out there. And people may not, you may not get any engagement, but one thing I can really attest to is people are seeing. And the reason why I say this is so recently I posted a link to my workspace on Twitter, and when I posted that link, I think on the tweet, I only had like 5 likes as engagement. But when I went to my Google Analytics, I noticed that over 100 people actually clicked that link. But just using my Twitter, it felt like 5 people, only 5 people like this thing, only 5 people really care about it. Because I felt like, when I posted the workspace and then people were like interested, like what is this, what monitor is this and that. So I felt like I should quickly create a page so that people can have access to this information. But then I didn't get much engagement. But on analytics, I found out that over 100 people saw it. So people are actually seeing. Yes, some people may see it and feel like I don't care, so people may see it and be like, what did this person actually build? So yeah, keep putting out your work. I feel like some of the relationships I've actually built on Twitter, like some of them were just from regular engagement on tweet and stuff. Some other relationships were more like I wrote articles, I shared it, and somebody's like, thank you for this piece. And somebody's like, can you come and speak about technical writing? These are how relationships are formed, and it may not be the closest of relationships. It may be something where it's just like, I know you do this, I know you do that. It may not be very close. So that's why I say don't force relationships, and also don't be, how do you put it, when you are demanding of somebody's time. When you're like demanding somebody should, what's the word? Uh what's the word, Fortune? When you're like, you said entitlement. Yeah, good. So
Yeah, yeah, sure, that
don't
could
be
work.
entitled to people's response. Like you send a message, somebody must respond to you, or else this person is this or that. Don't be entitled, but then just keep putting your work out there. We
Yeah,
have
so that could work.
we have just 8 minutes left. So I hope we really answered your
Well,
question. Hmm?
yeah, sure. I'm seeing 7 minutes here. So.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping we answered your question. So somebody said I joined late, but I want to know how much working experience one might need before applying for remote jobs abroad.
Mm, mm. Why are you drinking water?
Because I'm tasty.
Okay, wait, am I meant to answer that?
I mean, if
so,
you have anything to,
so yeah,
it's
yeah. The
whatever you
thing that
believe in, whatever you believe
okay, so
should be,
the thing that
essentially.
a lot of us do not recognize is the fact that it takes more than just working experience to apply for remote jobs. You're somewhere in the world where network is a big issue, light is a big issue, communication is a big issue. Like I remember working with this company and then my laptop's microphone wasn't so good. I didn't even recognize that before now. And then my pods, like the pods, were collecting other sound, like my fan and everything else. was like a big problem. I didn't even know about that. So these are like subtle things to fix up if you actually want to get remote jobs. It's not necessarily a thing of how many years of experience. I mean, if you get 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and then these things are bad, they'll definitely want to just we already like hiring you from somewhere in the world, and it's already like a big issue. There's no good microphone, there's no good video, there's no good internet connectivity. You're not always online on Slack. That's a problem. You get so feel like we all overlook these parts while focusing on the years of
Mm,
experience. You
yeah,
get, and it's
true.
not always smooth working like that. You get, so that's
Yeah.
probably something everyone should like put their attention to, other than years of experience. Someone in Europe wants to take a chance on you, and not even take a chance. Someone in Europe wants to employ you. It's not a chance, please. Wants to employ you with your 2 years of experience, with your 1 year of experience, because you feel like, this guy has potential, so this guy can actually do the job. And then they employ you, and they're like, these are like petty things that you probably need to fix up over time. You get, so that's what I'll say
Yeah.
on that part. Actually, it's not a years of experience thing per se.
I'm really happy, and I also appreciate the fact that you didn't just answer the question directly, and you also shared something very important. Because a friend reached out to me one time, he had an interview, and I was like, "How was the interview process?" I was like, "It was very nice and everything,"
Yeah,
but the my network was very bad, and I think he said the video, like, he went ghost mode during the interview, and he was like, the recruiter was like, "You're very good, but I'm sorry, we cannot cope with these things I have noticed in just this interview." So it's nice that you didn't just say 5 years of experience or 4 years, but you also
yeah,
addressed something very important. And in addition to what he said, you see, the important thing that I believe is to just build yourself. Build yourself, and when you see an opportunity to shoot, just shoot. Yeah, just shoot. Like I said, when I was applying for my current job, I told them, like, look, this is a role I want to transition into. I believe I have the experience for it with my, I mentioned some of my previous experiences, but I stated it clearly that, but this job is not something I already have like 1 year. Yeah, I actually told them, like, on your job description, you said you're looking for somebody with 1 year of experience, but I don't have 1 year of experience as a developer advocate, but I have so much experience writing, creating content generally, teaching, and also building stuff. So yeah, it's also the thing here is just keep building yourself, and when you see an opportunity to shoot, just shoot. You don't really need to have 5, 10, just shoot. The highest that can happen is, I'm sorry, but we are very keen on this number of years of experience, because I had some rejections where they're like, sorry, you have 2 years, but we're looking specifically for 3 years. So yeah, that's like the worst that can happen. And of course it can break you down, definitely, but just keep building yourself, and when you see opportunities, shoot for it. Somebody said, how can I join that group? So you mentioned a group, a community where you did stuff. Do you still have access to it? Do you want to share it? Are you allowed to share?
yeah. That's kind of like the problem, though. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't say, but then you probably want to join like a lot of communities, man. Like there's a lot of communities you could join. I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to share on this channel. Yeah, but then you could join your school's Google Developer Students Clubs, which is like I think in most of the schools in West Africa now. That's like a good way of getting to meet a lot of people, share experiences, build stuff as a group. You could also join. Facebook has I think Learning Curve or something like that. I think ALC, Facebook ALC. Yeah, I've forgotten what that means now. But yeah, that's another thing to join. You can also join Oscar. I think Oscar is in most of the schools now in West Africa too. So it's a big deal to join most of these communities. And there are
Okay.
like a lot of online communities too to join. That's the funny thing. You can just come on Twitter and be like, I always believe in going for it like straightforward, right? I mean, it could be bad, but it's kind of like always works for me. You get,
Mm.
hi everyone, I'm so and so person. I do this. I'm hoping to join some communities, point me in the right direction. Hashtag front end, back end, blah blah. That drop an email, or probably not drop and just like make the tweet. Somebody will gonna retweet. I will
Mm.
retweet. And then
Mm.
there's like access to over 2,000 people who I follow or who follow me. There's another like one person retweeting, and then that's how you join communities. Honestly,
All right.
it's direct.
Uh, yeah. We have just 2 minutes, and I'm sorry we won't be able to take the remaining questions. I can probably have a conversation with Fortune later on, and maybe write it in the blog or in the video description. But thank you all for joining for my first, and I'm really hoping that from the 1,000 or 1 million tips that was shared here, there's at least one or two that you can pick and you can be like, okay, this particular one, I want to try it and I want to see how it goes. So, just to reiterate, this is Fortune, developer relations engineer at Storyblock. And Fortune, what's your Twitter again? Code
At
dog.
code dog underscore.
Yeah.
I should
So I'm
probably
going
change
to,
that to Fortune Ikechi. I don't know.
until you change it, this is what I'm going to share for the audience. So yeah, this is Code Dog. I've shared it in the video description.
There's an underscore though. Did you know?
Yeah, added the underscore.
Okay, cool,
So yeah, you
fine.
can follow Code Dog and you can see more of his stuff and see how he's always direct on Twitter. You can learn from it. And yeah, like I said, I'll be having so on my blog, on my website. What's my website again? Okay. So I've shared my website. So my website, I'll be sharing a summary of this video. And when I share it, I'm also going to add a link to this video description for those who are coming to watch back. But yeah, I'll summarize everything that was said here, the tips he shared, and then also the links that I'll be getting from him later on. So it's already 1 hour on the mark, and it was really nice having you, Fortune. I'm really glad you made out time to not only be my first, but to also share all of these things. I feel like these are really actionable tips that can really help people.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Fortune. And thank you so much, everyone. It was nice seeing you guys. Peace, love, sleep well. Happy
Like,
Easter for those that celebrate it, and eat good food, drink water,
what if I
and
don't have food?
uh,
What if I don't have food?
drink water. There's tap water. Drink water, and have a great night rest. If this is night, or have a great morning. Have a great day. Look, I just want to end this video. All right, thank you so much, Fortune, once again. I really appreciate
Okay.
your time.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
bye bye.
Bye.